is that enough? Because you're playing against a field of about 5 or 6 teams. When you're playing against one, you can kind of lean back on the idea that, okay, well, not really going to have that, or they're not really that likely to have a pop-off performance. But when you increase that sample size, right, when you have 6 teams playing off in 4 matches, it gets a little bit more likely that there is a threat of these teams having completely wild performances, right? So sure, getting 6, 7 points to get consistent, keep it up there, but you really want to be looking up towards those 15-point games, right? If you can get one of those, it's going to be so much safer.
I'd love to see that same graphic, but just of dhkty post at, like, we got the post match. I want to see the pre of that last match on our angle, because I imagine they would not be spotting 5.86 average eliminations on our angle, which is really insane. They've got R rate now 0.86. Like, this is more reasonable for where they were beforehand. But again, crazy stuff coming through from dhkty on that last match.
What was their average? I didn't catch it on the
5.86 average elimination.
5.86.
6 a game.
And they've played how many air angles so far? With 2 game days played, they played 6. The 7th was the last one.
Yeah.
So that's 35 elims-ish.
Yeah.
They got 22 of those in that last game.
That's crazy, right? That is absolutely crazy that that's the case. So, I mean, they've certainly put up their performance there. They deserve that average elimination. Look at that. Blades taking down Bensu. dhkty 8, they see the opportunity. They see the door crack open slightly, and they wedge the foot between. They really want to push it all the way. And I'd love to see it happen.
It is starting to get to that point of a little bit of desperation to get these points on board.
Yeah. Crushing of the foot desperation.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're like, I'll sacrifice a metatarsal, maybe 2.
Yes, exactly.
Just to get in.
So
it's worth a lot of money to be able to get into those top 6 spots.
Yeah, it's worth more than a big toe. I'll tell you that now.
Well, I don't know.
125 grand?
Would you?
I'd hurt my big toe for 125 grand.
You don't have to, so that's the good news.
I'd say stub this desk right now and I'll give you 125 grand.
Stubbing, yeah, fine. Yeah. I'm going for that every day.
But really hard.
Oh.
As if you were
like really hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I'm not sure. I don't know. I'd have to think about it. I'd have to think about the consequences.
Okay, fair play.
Because that toe injury could last you a long blank.
At 125 grand.
Could last you a couple of years. 6
years,
maybe.
A good couple of years.
Yeah, maybe.
That's for sure. Next circle, popping on screen soon. Obviously, we see a lot of teams actually heading towards the center here, around Rozhok area, really trying to secure that position between the river. They have those rotational paths to goes next, because it could be hard down towards the south, it could be hard up towards the northern side. Yet to pop as of yet, but most teams are certain. It looks like we're going to try and ground around ruins and sunken.
Some open territory, those headshot hills on the south side of that river.
Yeah.
Treacherous. Vampire moving in past Pachinki through that church area. Alpha 7 on the north side of the river will be queuing up behind FaZe to try and cross, you'd imagine. Very unlikely that they go for the Rozhok Bridge. Try and break out that way. SEM9 find themselves a morsel on the hillside, but it's what bites back, unfortunately. It's DRS. Piranhas on the hills here. Kenny behind, trying to suppress. Rules still down, but being isolated, potentially covered off by the roster.
DRS, right. That last game wasn't ideal. I thought the rotation was very cool towards Everest side from the south. Really had to be explosive on that entry. With some really good grenades, which we have seen them throw before. This is Alpha 7. Ooh. They were a little bit too good with it.
1-1 trade there. I just got that run.
Killer took him out.
Roll over. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Not quite quick enough on the draw, but DRS still plenty of firepower with Killer still alive. Tournament topping right now. But it's not ideal when you're playing in DRS's shoes, right? Because you've got that second place that we were talking about with Alpha 7 looking a lot hotter today than they have done over the last two. You want to defend that spot because there's, again, a lot of money for that second place.
Yeah, it's what you'd like to hold on to, 100%. A second place, I think you can be very proud of that in All-Stars, knowing that you're very much guaranteed to go in towards that top 6 now. DRS can take some of these risks to get some good games underneath their belt towards the end of the day. Gladiators down towards Pachinki side, moving up. Falcons also very much in the crunch right now, down towards the southeast. There's Sem9 around this area, Aegon I8, and DRS who are currently locked in combat with Sem9.
Tam still very low, looking to get that healing done. We'll be able to pop it finally. Not too much impetus for them to move right now, though. They'll have to get to some cover, and once they're there, they can establish Falcon. Other ideas, though, they open up on the tricycle. And Aton are there ahead as well. And he left for dead on the roadside. And the rest of the team careen themselves into even further trouble as the rest of the roster picked apart yet again.
Sem9 have had a pretty unfortunate tournament so far, just not finding the success they were looking for. Next circle heads towards school side and apartments. So a lot of capability to have a lot of teams in a very small area at the end of this one. D plus Gear currently have a 2-2 split over on school side. We'll most likely hold that for a little bit longer alongside with BTR. Vampires come through Pachinki. We'll be heading out on towards Pachinki Fields. It's not the most ideal rotate. They could head towards Potato Hill and use the cover of that landmass to just pass up towards the eastern side. And with most of the players being dropped off early on towards the west, you know, that might be an option that a lot of teams do intend for.
Ferrari bringing up the rear on this train for Infinity IQ. Into very minimal cover here and very big amount of threat from D plus Kia as well. The nades start to pour over this ridge. Fabian has got an angle, lines it up perfectly. Nice little headshot to open the bidding. And the auction continues for the scalps of Infinity IQ over the top here, pushing forwards. Nades still in and not actually fully committing to this push because you can just keep this bombardment strong. Forest further away. Beautiful from Fabian. The rest of D plus Kia further down the hill, so they have a fullback spot should they need it if Bigatron decide to push on up the hill.
I mean, these are just two players holding on to this position, so D plus Kia is doing a great job. And in Forest and Saden, hand in hand, they are a terrifying combo. Another nade over the top there, does a lot of damage. Puga falls at the feet of Ferrari, not able to quite get in the pit stop. And Falcons take down one of the players from Gladiator, walked up towards his position. Six has a grenade in his hand, looking to send over towards Matic, but he's pulling out the classic, doing something completely out of the ordinary. It's unpredictable.
Six is there, and they're completely unknown, and Matic drawn short on the rush for the tree. No cover to be found. Immediately flushed as well. Tixie's on the floor, two players alive, Kitsune and Meku. We said this is a team that needs to keep up the pace. They're not fully home and dry for the qualification spot, and when you lose two players like this, you do not want these teams around you to be doing well. But you're looking at down one D plus Kia, you're looking at Falcons, and you're thinking, these are teams that will chase, and they're doing so on this game.
Thing is, this Gladiators is all over the place at the moment. This is not the Gladiators that I'm used to. Matic, yes, sometimes he pulls out these weird little maneuvers, but more often than not, they're quite successful. Sometimes you see them go completely out the window, but a lot of these players on Gladiator's side are just not playing to their full potential here. It's a strange performance to be showing here in the All-Stars. With only 3 more games to secure your place as well after this one. It's a bit terrifying to be playing like this and not upping the ante. Perhaps you can have some better games over on Miramar at the end of the day. But right now, there are some teams that are just a bit more deserving at this point in time, just objectively.
You need to prove it every step of the way if you want to feel like you deserve one of these spots. And metal cannot stand the best. Will be corroded by the talents of the rest of the lobby. Falcons, 4 eliminations so far. 6th place right now, close to that bubble. Currently sits in 7th, that bubble, remember, because Alpha 7 have already qualified. That spot would be given to that 7th place team should they find themselves in the top 6. With them sat in 3rd right now, very likely that they will stay in that top 6.
I thought you were going to say something completely different there, like, with Alpha 7, the card Alpha 7 in play, we do now actually have 7 slots. That's how that works.
World's Gaming?
7 World Gaming. Oh. You've got a lot. So we've got 7 slots instead.
How many 7s?
Which we actually don't. I do... What? Who started sprinting and then began to wheeze and have completely come to a halt there. Very unfortunate to see. They're back in 10th place.
Absolutely, that's what I was thinking as well. Falcons lose a player close to Delta and DRS as well. Very difficult to move in for that res, for that save. But they'll have to try it nonetheless. Delta actually backed off the ridgeline, so potential. The duo from Gladiators sailing on past on the south side of Potato Hill as Falcons let that hold it just a little bit, and in their place, I'll find a Yokohama Donuts Varel position as Missile sends out to the ridgeline as well.
Yeah, a bit easier to hold this down for the Yokohama Donuts as well, considering a lot of these teams moving in from that southeast side will be pushing up towards their position. And there's not a lot of teams up towards the northwest that will push down towards the Yokohama Donuts. So they can be pretty comfortable to try and pick up some eliminations as these teams start to push in towards the circle itself. Gladiators take an absolute barrage of bullets coming through from the vampires themselves. The vehicle fire, and they're careening all the way towards. This is so terribly dangerous.
Oh dear. Cut out Meku. Goes down. Yeah, Kitsune falls as well. Not really exclusive. And yeah, that's Falcons with 4 players alive just 5 seconds ago. Taken down in 14th place.
It was over before it even began there for the Falcons. They swooped in, and then suddenly we're on the back, no longer lying. Gyante tries to keep things alive, but the blue zone will take him down. And Delta just has to leave his boys behind at this point. At stage 4, impossible to get that res, especially with them being so far outside in the circle. Just wants to go for a little bit more of a survival play. 5 eliminations, though, it's not too bad. It's not too bad at all. D plus Kira also regrouped. I think that was an excellent hold on the 2-2 split. Now up towards school side. And the circle shifts towards the northwest.
This has been a couple of hard shifts in a row, Blank. I mean, you can see on the mini-map there in the top right, it's just gone northwest and northwest and northwest. And S2G are still on Rozhok Hill. This is where they drop, right? So, they drop a split between Rozhok Sunken all the way over to Ruins. They've regrouped here and just been here for so long.
Just couldn't go too far. They just could not go too far. There's no reason to. If held into position, Rozhok Hill, great scouting spot as well to pick up information. The fact that it's been in this long, there's been no real reason to push outwards. I like Iker's position, though, to try and hold off versus that. Carrillo, a missile. They're all out. Coming around the corner with the DBS. Sees that it's
Oh
over.
my